Ben, I want to say thank you so much for joining us today on the podcast. Before we get started, how are you doing today, and how's the European season going so far?
I'm doing well. For now, I'm off today, so I just have to bike, and I'll travel to Paris tomorrow for the Diamond League on Friday.
Okay, and whereabouts are you staying right now?
I'm in Netherlands. I'm with my agent, so I'm in Amsterdam right now. Yeah.
Okay, all right, perfect. I know that's quite a good hub to sort of Amsterdam's got quite a big airport, so you can sort of like travel to various places throughout Europe quite easily from there. All right, well, good luck. So the date today, sorry, is the 7th of June. So the Paris Diamond League's in 2 days' time. So obviously, good luck for that.
2 days. Yeah.
So one of the reasons that I first became aware of you, and I would say that a lot of kind of people a lot of fans globally became aware of you, was that a couple of years ago you were running exceptionally fast at a Division two school in the US NC2A system, and I think you really kind of set the trend and showed that um, it's not essential to be a high level collegiate athlete. It's not essential that you're going to one of the big Power Five Division One schools. So I was wondering, is it possible to talk a little bit about your experience at West Texas?
I got to West Texas in 2020. Actually, the coach here in West Texas got interested in me when I was running like 10-6 back in Ghana. And then from them, then I think I went to Italy to represent Ghana in the World University Games. And then I ran a PB of 10.32. And then I started like getting offers from other schools. But of course, someone had already seen the potential in me early on when I was running 10.6. So, I gave him my word that, yeah, I'm going to, come to his school. But, people were saying, as you mentioned, like, go to the big schools, go to D1 and all that. But I felt more of like, as slow as I was running, 10.6, this person saw like the potential in me. So there could be something really good about this guy or what he sees in me. That's why he's, recruiting me into his school. So, I trusted him, and then I came to West Texas A&M. And then everything shows that, yeah, he's a good coach, because ever since I got there, I think we had the COVID year in 2020.
Mhm.
Yeah, so I couldn't compete. I couldn't run any outdoors. I was just doing indoors, which my best was like 6.6, 4 or so. And then 2021, I was able to break 10 seconds. Like, so from 10.32 to 9.97, which is really, really great. So I think it's more of like you trusting your coach, believing in the program, and, trusting whoever that you are in his hands. And I think that really, really worked for me. I didn't have any doubt about the program I was under or anything. I trusted in him, and then I think that worked out perfectly fine for me.
Okay, yeah, and I think that kind of I looked through your World Athletics profile, and I think one of the things that kind of stood out for me was that um, you were super consistent as well. So you were sort of always you're within that 9.9 to 10.1 range, like every race. So it's not like you've come in with the 10.32, then you've run a one-off 9.9, and then you're back in the 10.3s. It was, you were super consistent around the kind of that 10.0 spot after you ran that 9.9. So I think it's really important to note that your performance level had definitely increased. And I know that there are some coaches that sort of speak about, rather than assessing your season on a one-off personal best or a one-off season best time, you've kind of taken the average of your top five times and looking at it from that perspective. And I think that if we were to do that with you, look at the average of your top five times, then the improvement is still very, very much apparent. And are you able to talk a little bit about sort of how some of the things that you felt were important in terms of developing that sort of level of consistency?
Yeah, so I was not actually used to weight. So
Okay.
I don't know what I would have done when I was in Ghana and I was lifting weights. Maybe I would be running fast. I don't know. So when I got to US and I was introduced to weight, I think that really made a difference. And also, my coach is like really a rest guy, like just strength, power, rest, more rest. So that kind of like really, really helped me. I used in a week I wear spikes like twice a week, because of having to run every week in, week out all the time. So I think that really helped me with me being consistent and having my times in the 9.9s and then to 10.1s. I think that really helped me.
Okay, all right. That's really interesting. I'm excited to kind of get into your training a little bit more later on in the conversation. But I think that, yeah, I remember having this conversation with my friend talking about training a sprinter, and it's definitely the equation isn't the more work you do or the harder you work, the faster you run. 100% like rest is where you give your body time to, I guess, sort of absorb the training or kind of get the training response. And I think that's, rest is as much a part of the equation as the training itself is. And I think that's really important, and you sort of demonstrated that. So you grew up in Ghana. Are you able to talk to us a little bit about your childhood and sort of which sports you were involved with as a child in Ghana?
Yeah, so I grew up in Akim Oda. It was just like a small village in Ghana. And then so I had to travel like 4 hours to like the capital city to go to high school. And as at that time, I was into soccer because soccer is like the main sport back home in Ghana. So I was playing soccer until like the last year of my senior high school. And that was when I realized I could run because I was asked to, represent my school because I was actually really fast playing the soccer. So I was asked to, just try it. And then this is where I discovered that I could actually run. So I had a scholarship into the University of Ghana where everything, started for me, where I came into the limelight, where I started doing well. And I had the opportunity to represent my country in the World University Games. So that was it. That was how everything started. That was how I came to track, from soccer to track. And then now I'm stuck with track because I feel track is more individual. It's not a team, it's not a team sport where, one person is going to ruin everything for you. It's more about yourself, more about you and your lane. You just focus and do everything for yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. I think obviously you have a team sort of behind you in terms of coaches and therapists and all that kind of stuff. But absolutely, like once you're on the track, it's up to you whether to make it or break it. And
Exactly.
Yeah, I think that accountability definitely. I can imagine in a team sport like soccer, you can go out there and play like a great game, but then you still lose if teammates aren't performing. And I can imagine that becomes frustrating. And also on the flip side, as a soccer player, you can have a bad game and then still win if your teammates pick you up. So it's sort of like nice to kind of have the outcome dependent upon your own performance. So from what you're saying, then you started taking sprinting you started taking sprinting seriously relatively late on. So you must have been what, sort of 17, 18, something like that. Is that fair?
I was like 19
years. Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
When I started. Yeah.
Okay. And so when you were training in Ghana, you kind of outlined a little bit sort of how many times a week you were wearing spikes at West Texas, but how many times per week were you training when you were sort of like 19 years old in Ghana?
So it was a lot more. So in a week, I could wear spikes like 4 times because there were no competitions. You would in a year you would get to compete maybe 3 times or twice back home in Ghana. So it was very rare to get a competition, to compete in to see where you are. So often you have to be running, you have to be training, so you get in shape. When you compare it to like the US where you have every week to be running and stuff, so you don't really need to be training a lot during the week because you have the weekend to go and race to get in shape. So that was the difference. In Ghana, no competition, so I have to train a little bit more.
Okay, so you kind of gone from one extreme to the other where there's like very, very few competitions to the US collegiate calendar. I would say, I don't know about every kind of setting, but from my experience, there's more races in the US collegiate calendar in comparison to any other setting that I've seen. And I think you've made a really good point there. And I think it's easy to forget that the way that I look at it is that the most kind of specific type of training is competing. So your biggest workout when you're in season, is your competition. And that's what I try to instill with my athletes is that, you know, almost between if you've got a competition one Saturday and then the next Saturday, almost the rest of that week is just geared to recovering from one competition to be ready for the next competition.
That's
and
it.
Yeah,
That's
so
right.
sort of like training to get yourself in shape versus racing to get yourself in shape. And I think that, yeah, I mean, that's a big advantage of the US collegiate system, is that you've got those races to help really kind of round you into shape. So thinking then about sort of your post collegiate career so far. So you've turned pro. You've got you're with ASICS at the moment, or ASICS if you're my British listeners, and you've had a great 2022 season. Final of the Commonwealth Games, finishing fourth. So are you still in the same coaching setup as you were at West Texas? Are you still with the same coach?
Yeah, I'm still with the same coach because I'm still in school, and I actually graduate this December. So I still have to be with the same coach. And so
Okay.
we'll see what happens at the end of school. When I'm done with school, I'll see what happens and what he thinks, or see the progress after, transitioning from the college sports to pro, and seeing where I'm at and see if there's going to be any changes.
Okay. All right. So am I right in thinking, so how many years did you do at university in Ghana?
I did 2 years in Ghana, and then I transferred.
Right. Okay. So
but most of my credit didn't count. So
yeah.
Actually, I was supposed to actually graduate this May, but the credit I transferred here didn't count. So I had to do one more semester before I can graduate.
Okay. All right. Okay. Well, good luck for that. And I think that like obviously studying and getting a degree is a great thing to do, and help set you up for your life kind of after track. But at the same time, it's obviously an added consideration when you're trying to train as a professional sprinter and have your best season. Like, it would be nice not to have that kind of added stress of studying as well. So yeah, I'm excited to see what you do after that. So you kind of outlined a little bit about you're in spikes twice a week. Are you able to kind of break down your training like a little bit more? So if we're thinking, I don't know, let's sort of talk about sort of off-season training, or just before the start of the season, so you don't have to kind of factor in that you're racing. But what might a typical week of training look like for you? So what might you do on a Monday and then on a Tuesday and so
on? So off-season, a typical week, a Monday. No, we normally have Saturday, Sunday off.
Saturday and Sunday off.
Yeah, because they're college coaches. So
yeah, true.
So yeah. So Monday we get back, and then we have certain warm-ups we do when we have any workouts. We have like a lot of warm-ups which we choose from. They are very, very long warm-ups, which could be workouts itself. Mm-hmm. So those are the warm-ups that we do. So on Monday we have a warm-up that we do, which is a PMP1 or PMP2, which is it prepares you for what you have to do the next day. So we do that warm-up, and then we do a little bit of circuits just to prep for the next day, which is Tuesday, which we would either have blocks or max V. The blocks could go up to 40 meters, or in season is where we go up to like 80 meters. But off season is really sometimes very, very short. And then after that, on Wednesday, we normally bike, or we come back to the track to have one of our warm-ups. You can either do a circuit warm-up or any of the recovery warm-ups where you have a lot of hurdles, just, kind of, so you don't really stay home without doing anything, just get active. Mm-hmm. And then Thursday, we have a long circuit. And then on Friday, we do endurance workout. So either it's going to be mostly, we have 150s to start off, like 5 of them. We do like 150s. And then as the season goes on, we increases it to like 300s and stuff. But my coach is not more of the guy that makes you do a lot of 300s. I think I have done 300 maybe once this season. Okay. And then that was it. And the thing is, when he's making you do it, you have to do it 100%. He doesn't want you to do it at the 95% pace or 85%. No, it's 100%. You have to run everything all out. So if it's is for a longer sprinting endurance workouts. You have to, let's say we do 300, 200, and 100, and all of that is going to be 100% with like 12 minutes recovery. Do you understand? So he wants more quality. He wants the quality more than the quantity. So he sees really where you are at. You understand? But when it's in season, that is when we get into more specifics. And then you have to be doing either blocks, or you're doing max V, or you're doing ins and outs. And then a typical Friday, I'm just explaining the 2 days that I run, because Monday, Wednesday, Thursday are normal. And then on a Friday, you do longer stuff like 180s, 220s, 250s, 150, 120, 90. And one thing also is, let's say if I really have like a big meet coming up, let's say if I have like Texas relays coming up, all the 2 years that I've had Texas relays coming up, that week I do the Tuesday we normally travel on Wednesday. So that Tuesday I do 90, 80, 70 meters, 100%. So it kind of tells him where I'm at going into Texas relays. And before I ran my 997, that was the workout that showed him, I could break 10 seconds, because I was really running fast that time. So like that is basically like how my week looks like when I'm out of season and when I'm in season.
All right, okay, that's so interesting, and I think what that sort of underlines for me is that going back to something that I said, I'm not trying to make this about me, because obviously you're the guest, but that it's not about whoever does the most is going to be the most successful. And you use the word quality there, and I think that's so important. And I think you're showing what you can do off properly running twice per week, and I think that's really fascinating. So a couple of questions then about the Tuesday and the Friday session. So on the Tuesday, you mentioned that you might do blocks, kind of 40s, I think, in the off season, then maybe going up to 80s in the in season. Typically, how many runs would you do on a Tuesday session?
How many runs?
Yeah.
So if you are doing all the way up to like 40, it would be like let's say 20, 30, 40, maybe 3 or 4 sets of them. But thing is, let's say that's going to be off season, but in season is where we use the 1080s. So so you get on the 1080, you do like the 20 from the 1080 from the blocks, and then you take the 1080 off, and then you do it without the 1080. So you kind of like alternate like
with
that.
the 1080 on that session. Are you using that as resistance? So is the 1080 pulling you? Exactly. You're pulling the 1080.
Yeah, you're pulling the 1080 from the blocks. So you get on the 1080 and then you get off it, just kind of to see the difference, or to have a feel of, you know, having the resistance and not having the resistance. So we could do like, let's say 5 of each, 5 on the resistance and 5 not on the resistance. Yeah, that's basically that during like off season. And in season, it reduces to, let's say, maybe 3 of those.
And so, and again, have you got like, I mean, you mentioned like 12-minute recoveries kind of for the 300, 200, 100. Have you got fairly long recoveries in between the runs on the Tuesday as well, to obviously keep the quality up?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, okay, all right. And then I guess sort of like a similar question for Friday. I mean, you mentioned 300, 200, 100, and you might do 150, 120, 90. Is 3 runs sort of like fairly typical for the number of runs that you would do on a Friday? And of course, I'm sure it does vary a little bit, but would 3 be fairly standard?
Yeah, so if let's say we are doing 300, 200, 100, it would just be 1 set of each, like just 301, 201, and 101, and then you're done. But we have another workout where we do 250s, like 2 of those. But right after the 250, you walk back to 50-meter mark cone, and then you run 50. So let's say 251, you immediately walk back to a 50-meter cone, and then you run the 50 meters 4 times. And then on the second set, it reduces to 3. And then on the third set, on the second set, it reduces to 4. And then on the third set, it reduces to 3. So you have 250s 3 times, 55 on the first set, 54 on the second set, and 53 on the second set. The only part where it really gets to you is on the 50s. So right after running 250, you get back to come run the 250, just to kind of like help you with the end of your, let's say 200-meter race, the end of the race, how that feeling is going to be like. That's just the idea of that workout.
Okay, yeah. So I mean, I can imagine that's quite tough, right? So even though like the overall volume probably isn't excessively high in comparison to what some athletes are doing, because you're kind of, I think, running those short distances such as 50s off the back of a 250. So you're pretty fresh for the 250, so you can run that quite fast. And then because it's only 50s afterwards, you can run those quite fast, and so that the fatigue accumulates quite quickly.
Exactly. And then he focuses on, keeping your posture and everything. So imagine you have lactic and you're actually, keep your posture and then run fast. Yeah. It's not easy.
No.
But I mean, that is the focus. So
yeah. Okay. I mean, you mentioned the word quality before. So what I'm kind of getting from that is like technical quality becomes sort of like paramount as well.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
That's correct.
And you mentioned circuits on some of the days. So is that your weight room stuff? Is that what you mean by that, or where?
No.
Okay.
Those are not weight room stuff. Those are basically like general strength. Where you do, let's say, core. Yeah. And also sometimes they put in the rudiments just to have that elasticity and all that. So there's the big thing about it is just having the rudiments in it. I mean, I think that is really their main focus, and also having, sometimes we have med ball throws and all that. As I said, he's more of like the power coach, having the power and the strength. So he focuses on those things in his circuit. And then we have, so off season, we have weight room three times a week, Monday, Tuesday, and then Friday. And then when you are in season, it's just a Monday and Tuesday.
Okay. All right. And with those weight room sessions, are they sort of typically focused on like your standard sort of like compound lifts? So I don't know, like your squats, maybe Olympic lifts or deadlifts and stuff like that. Is that sort of a lot of what you're doing in the weight room, or is it sort of different to that?
Yeah, on a typical Monday, we do more of box jump.
Okay.
And then we do clean pool. Clean pool with a track. And then we do like deadlifts, but stagger stance. I don't know if you know
what stagger stance deadlift. So 1 foot in front, 1 foot back.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I was introduced to it just off season, this coming season.
Okay.
I didn't used to do the stagger stance, but I think it's really helping.
So you're using the trap bar for that. You're using the bar that you can sort of stand in the middle of.
We use the bar. Exactly. Yeah, that's what we do. And then we have other exercises. We also have circuits in them, which we have a couple of like step downs, lateral step downs, med ball throws, and a couple of other exercises. I mean, they are actually very, very new to me because we had a new strength and conditioning coach. So it's very new to me. Most of the stuff I'm doing are new to me. And then on a Friday is when we have the squats. But I do front squats. I don't do back squats because I don't want to load my spine. So I do the front squat rather than the back squats.
Okay.
And then I do we have the clean pool, and then there's another one, I forgot the name, where you open your arms wide, but it's also a pool. I forgot the name.
Oh, it's like a snatch pool.
Yes, that's a snatch pool. Yeah, we do that too.
Okay.
On the next day. Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, but we do more of the box jumps too. Yeah.
Okay, I mean that's really interesting. So what I'm getting from that is that there's so much. It appears that there's like a focus on sort of power, explosiveness, elasticity, maybe more so than max strength. And I think that, and obviously, I don't know you, but I've seen your physique and I've seen the way you move, and it looks like you're sort of like a very sort of like elastic guy. Like you're not hugely muscular, you're not hugely heavy, but you look sort of quite elastic. And so I can imagine. I mean, well. I don't even need to imagine. I can see that stuff's working very well for you, regarding the performances that you're putting out. So, yeah, it sounds like you and your coach have found a method that works, and you're sort of reaping the rewards of it.